the semi-limited list is always the most contentious part of any Yu-Gi-Oh ban list, and a lot of people think that aside from a very few select cards that it really doesn't serve much purpose and it shouldn't exist. Well, clearly Master Duel does not have that philosophy. I've checked the other two paper formats, the TCG and the OCG. The TCG has 6 cards currently on its semi-limited list. The OCG, which people say that Master Duel follows more closely in Spanish philosophy too, the OCG has 20 cards on its semi-limited list. But those are rookie numbers. Master Duel has 40 semi-limited cards currently, and counting. I was shocked when I had an idea for this video. I was like, oh, that's gonna be quick and easy. Just go through a few cards. No, 40 fucking cards are semi-limited on Master Duel. What? Now, why are there so many cards semi-limited on Master Duel compared to the 2 paper formats? I'm not exactly sure. I feel like a reason for this is because Master Duel has been doing. Master Duel does basically monthly balance, so very frequent balance updates compared to that of the TCG and OCG, which are, have months separated between their ban lists. So because there are monthly ban lists, you have to do something, right? Even if the format doesn't necessarily require a ban list shakeup, just because that you're basically inclined to do one every month, that you could do just a bunch of small hits just to say you did a ban list, even though you don't really want to change the meta that much. And like there's the in-game stats available, and they look at all the win rate and stuff like that. So if they see a card has too much win rate, but if the format isn't exactly, isn't too far gone, then they could just hit the cards with the higher win rate to not shake up the meta too much, but also still say that they did a ban list. So I guess that's one explanation. I don't work for Konami, so don't take my word as gospel that that's the reason why there's so many semi-limited lists. But yeah, let's go over how many of these semi-limited cards will actually deserve to be semi-limited, or how many of them are just literally just there to fill up space on the ban list. And we're gonna go over. There's 3 categories here. One is the card is a good semi-limited, and that the semi-limiting actually does something besides just reducing the consistency of drawing the card at 2 copies versus 3. And then we have the okay semi-limits, which are, this is namely going to be where a lot of consistency hits are. And yeah, consistency hits, generally they're contentious because they don't really do much besides just lowering the chance to be drawing something. But if a card is, quite powerful, and they don't want to kill the playability of the card, I guess you can consider a semi-limiting it. Went from 3 to 2 is better than having it at 3 copies. I suppose it's not like a pointless semi-limit. It just doesn't do it doesn't change a whole lot. And then you have the last category, which is cards that should not be semi-limited at all. One way or another, 2 is the completely wrong number for the card to be on the ban list. And you'll know these when we get to them. So first off is Alibur. Okay, so I'm gonna be charitable with Master Duel's ban list, and I'm gonna put Alibur out here. It is a consistent hit. That's it. It doesn't kill the deck or anything. In fact, it arguably doesn't even do too much by itself. But Brian Despia was it's a very strong deck. It was a meta deck for a long time, and hitting one of its best starters from 3 to 2, fine. I can see it. If you want to hit the deck but not kill the deck, sure. But yeah, whatever. Anti-spell fragments. I believe that every single card, every single spell and trap card with a continuous sign on it should probably at some point end up limited. I don't think anti-spell fragments should be at 2 right now. It's lucky in that anti-spell isn't a floodgate that's used by the Sun decks. It is funny enough, it is a floodgate that's used more by the combo decks as a way to, set up unbreakable board, set up their field, then flip anti-spell fragments, which in a best of 1 is not as it's not as common as it is in best of 3, for example, where when you're going first, you're going to side in these cards like semi-limit and anti-spell because you're going first. So it's not as problematic. So You know, maybe you can be an argument that say it's okay at 2, but then it's like, I mean, I don't know. I don't like the idea of seeing a floodgate like this at 2 when most of the other floodgates are at 1, and frankly, a lot of them are less problematic than anti-spell, like Synchro Zone. Call by the Grave. Okay, so yeah, I'm not sure where to put this because there's 2 philosophies here. One of them is that Maxi is in the game, so therefore you need all the outs to Maxi as you can, in which case you might even argue that this should be at 3 for some reason, but also there's also the other argument of going first in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is so important, and in a best of 1, especially going first is so important, but then you have this card that significantly just buffs going first because it removes the only interaction your opponent has for you when they go second and lose the coin flip, which is hand traps. So yeah, I don't think going first needs to be buffed, but also Maxi is in the game, so I mean, I guess we'll take the middle ground and just say that it's at 2 in a Maxi format. In a best of 1, it's okay. I feel like this would be really toxic if you were at 3 and then the first player would just go turn 1 player would just combo off unimpeded just because they have 3 call buys. But yeah, if call buy was banned, this should not be semi-limited. It should definitely go down more. But yeah, I will again. I'll be charitable with Master Duel's balance and just say it. Call buy isn't okay at 2. Chandraglier, what? I'm gonna put this as an okay semi-limited just because they want to hit lab, but they also don't want to hit lab, and by itself, this one furniture hit doesn't do much. But I'll put this up here too. They hit 2 separate furniture, so it's like you're removing. They're out of the 6 starters that these 2 cards represent. You're removing 2 of them, so they're going down from like 6 to 4 furniture pieces, which is actually it's like a non-negligible hit. It actually, you do feel the consistency playing lab, and all my lab players know this. So yeah, it's all right. It's borderline. It's not a useless semi-limit. Change of heart. I feel like change of heart is fine. I feel like change of heart is fine to go back at 3. We have 3 mind control already. Mind control is at 3. Nobody's playing mind control, and mind control is 90% of a change of heart, and nobody's even playing change of heart in Master, especially in a best of 1 format where you can't slide this in knowing you're going second. So you're gonna risk having a change of heart that's kind of dead when you go first. So this card's perfectly fine. It should be at 3. I don't think it needs to be at semi-limited anymore. Chaos Space. Okay, I'm gonna do Quick Launch and Chaos Space together because Quick Launch is here too, if I can find it. Yeah, these are the Dragon Link hits. So Quick Launch, I think, was an okay hit. It was a card that every Dragon deck runs at 3, so putting it at 2, it hurts consistency. It helps the deck play through, getting your Romulus negated or your Dragon Ravine negated. It's a good extender. I can see it. It's fine. It's whatever. Chaos Space. I'm gonna evaluate these. I forgot to mention, I'm evaluating these based on the current format of Master. I'm not evaluating these based on the format which they were semi-limited or which they were hit. Because when this was semi-limited initially, it was an okay consistency hit to the deck. But as of right now, given what we know from the next ban list, they banned Wyvern Buster. They banned the best target for Chaos Space. So afterwards, let's take a look at Chaos Space usage right now. Okay, so Chaos Space. So let's see the Dragon Link. Yeah, 14% is using this as playing 1 copy for some reason. 14% playing this at 2. 71% of Dragon Link decks are not playing a single copy of Chaos Space. Okay, Dragon Link was the entire reason that Chaos Space was hit. But because you banned Wyvern Burster now and you banned the best target, it makes Chaos Space a much worse card to the point where it's not even really worth running for most Dragon Link builds. So in fact, this should not be semi-limited anymore because people aren't gonna play Chaos Space anyways, even if it was at 3. So yeah, to get this off the semi-limited list right now, it's not needed with Wyvern Burster banned. Okay, Cyan Mining. All right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do these 2 together. Cyan Mining plus Parallax Sea. Okay. There's only one deck that plays both Cyanide Mining and Parallel Exceed. That is Math Mech. Okay, these are hits related to Math Mech. You're not hitting the decks that play Parallel Exceed like Trap Tricks or like stuff like that. You're also not hitting the other Cybers decks like what Salamangreat, Marincus. Nobody cares about hitting those Cybers decks. Okay, the reason these two cards are semi-limited is because of Math Mech, and it's odd because they do this to hit Math Mech, yet Circular is still at 3. I wonder why Circular is the card that's at 3, and Cyanide Mining and Parallel Exceeds are the cards that they hit to hit Math Mech. Yeah, get these. No. Why are these do not need to be semi-limited. DD Dynamite. Okay, DD Dynamite's actually a good hit. The first good semi-limit, because this was for anyone remember the DD Dynamite bots with the Lilith and the Dawn 1000 and the just like burning you with Banquet of Millions and stuff like that. So putting this at 2 means you can't really reliably get this with Lilith anymore because Lilith has to reveal 3. Then it just kills the consistency of the deck, so the bot deck is gone, and this killed a bot meta. I did a short on this card and this meta actually. So yeah, this is a good hit. It killed the FTK Banquet burn bots essentially. Emergency teleport. Whoops. Is anyone what's scary about Italy again? Are you worried about like are you worried about Gold Pride? Are you worried about Punk or Virtual World? Those decks are definitely, yeah, those meta contending decks that definitely aren't Rogue for multiple formats in a row now or something. Yeah, I can see this coming back to 3 unless someone tells me some interaction that breaks Italy. I think this is fine to be a 3. Same with Engage should not be semi-limited. You could give Sky Striker 4 engages, they would still be Rogue. Okay, don't worry about that. If you're worried about Striker being splashed in other decks, like what are you afraid of? Are you afraid of like Striker Orcus in the year of our Lord and Savior 2024? Like, are you worried about Snake Eyes decks dropping hand traps in order to fit in an engage engine, which we're playing in a maxi format, so everyone's just running hand traps already, and like in order to fit in the engage engine, you have to cut your hand traps in order to play it, which most decks don't want to do. Like I think this is perfectly fine at 3. Like it's not gonna. It'll be a cool side to fit in most decks, and Striker won't be anywhere near meta with this back at 3. Runic. Alright. So where are the Runic cards? Okay, here, and here. Slumber and Freezing cards. These are the two easy. These should not be similar. With the context in Master Duel that Fountain is at 1, these cards do not need to be semi-limited while Fountain is at 1. Okay? Like, these are hits to not the Runic combo decks or anything. They're literally just hits for Runic Stun. And the problematic cards in Runic Stun are not the Runic cards, okay? Just hit more Floodgates. It's always been the Floodgate type cards. Like, now they're moving on to Majesty's Fiend and Vanity's Fiend and like Messenger of Peace after Synchro Zone. Oh, who would have thought they could have found a replacement for the Synchro Zone hit? Like, yeah, these Tip is the one that you could argue, because Fountain is at 1, Tip, you could argue that it's the most this one that makes the most sense being semi-limited, because this one searches Fountain. So I mean, I would argue that this Tip doesn't need to be at 2, but you can argue that it is an okay semi-limit, just because if they're gonna hit copies of Fountain anyways, like it would make sense to hit the one Runic spell that directly searches Fountain 2 and doesn't require you to go through a Hugin, which is more vulnerable to hand traps, and obviously you can't summon under a lot of Floodgates that a Runic Stun would be playing already. Fusion Destiny. This, like, man, I know Verte is still legal. Who cares? Celestial is still banned. What's your payoff for Fusion Destiny is being able to summon a DPE in 2024 when that card DPE, honestly, DPE got power crept the minute Mirror Jade was printed. Okay, if you want to play a deck that uses Verte, like you're 90% of the time you're better off making a Verte and Brand Fusion than you are using anything Fusion Destiny related. Okay, this would be a buff to heroes. That's it. Again, heroes with 3 Fusion Destiny is not some kind of like meta threatening deck. Like it's gonna be like, yeah, heroes are a toxic deck, but the reason they're toxic is not because of Fusion Destiny. It's because all they do is set up a bunch of floodgates, which they do anyways, whether at Fusion Destiny is at like whatever cop 1, 2, or 3. So yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, that doesn't need to be a 3. That doesn't need to be a 2. Gamma. Okay, I'm gonna be very shareable and say that it's actually okay. I'm not gonna, because Gamma is limited in the other 2 formats because it's such a powerful hand trap, and in Master Duel it can be especially toxic because Maxi exists and you can Gamma Maxi on your turn to just get 2 free bodies while negating their Maxi, which, yeah, on top of also being able to negate Ash, so I can see it. Being at 2 means that you have a higher chance of drawing Driver without drawing the Gamma, yeah, so it's alright. You could argue that it could be at 3, or that if you really hate Gamma, it should be at 1, so 2 is like a middle ground. It's okay. Again, it's not as egregiously bad as the cards in the category below, where these cards are 100%, like, I think almost undebatable that they should not be semi-limited, whereas Gamma, you could make the argument, so I'll put it here for now. Infinity Launcher, yeah, it's I think Archfiend is at 3 in Master Duel too. I don't like, what, you're afraid? This is a combo deck that can't play Call by the Grave. What are you afraid of now? And Bishios exist now. Oh no, you ever get your Archfiend, your Infinity Archfiend Bishield, or your Necromancer Bishield? Oh, yeah. Perfect. Okay, this is one of the dumbest semi-limits in the entire, like, on this entire thing. Okay, I don't know why Birth was ever at not 3 copies. Like, clearly they hit. So I'll do it with the Cashier Unicorn. Okay, Cashier Unicorn, it's fine. Okay, here, Cashier Unicorn and Fender, they're hit because they're splash on other decks. Why was Birth hit? No other deck besides Pure Cashier runs more than 1 Birth. And don't tell me that you're trying to hit Pure Cashier, because that deck has not been tier 1, like, literally since it's been the entire existence of its lifespan in Master Duel. So this should go to 3 next ban list, and like nobody would care. Like this just unclutter the semi-limited list. Unicorn is fine. Unicorn, I'd argue it should be not semi-limited in the other way, in that it should be limited, in my personal opinion. But yeah, it's a card that's splashable, and it was running at 3 copies in all the decks that were running it. So bullfitting at 2, it's actually a relevant hit. It does reduce the consistency, even though it's just a consistent hit. It does something. You can justify it being semi-limited. Trickstar Light. Again, why the hell is Trickstar Light? I think Light State has been semi-limited for the entire lifespan of Master Duel, because I couldn't imagine hitting Trickstar Light Stage in any ban list since Master Duel's existence. But let's see if anyone's even playing this. Okay, Trickstar. 1. Okay, so Pure Trickstar is running. Who cares about Pure Trickstar running? When was the last time this was played? Oh, Duo Chronic, or what level is this? Legend Anthology? Yeah, this is an event. Okay, when was the last time it was played not an event? Huh? Okay, apparently there's a Master 1 list that play. Oh, this is just Labyrinth Trickstar. Okay, I get it. This man's a man. I probably. This guy doesn't even run more than 1 light stage, anyways. Why the? And then, like, after that, after this one Cauldron fellow, like, this card's not seen basically any play, and even half the decks that play this don't even play it at the 2 copies it's allowed anyways. Just put this back to 3. Malia. Okay, Malia. Oh, we finally hit another good semi-limit. This is a semi-limit that actually does something. It reduces Malia from three extra, like 2 extra bodies, just 1 free body. And it's fine for heroes too, because heroes is has this at 3 because Denier just puts the Mally back. So Mally is at 3 for heroes and it's at 2 for everything else. That is the perfect. This is the perfect semi-limit. TCG is playing with fire by putting this at 3. By the way, I'm just saying this is bound to be broken sometime in the TCG, and it's gonna be put back to 2 within like the next year or 2. I'll mark my words. Mass Change Second. Okay, so I know Mass Change Second is kind of toxic. It makes Dark Law at the same time. Is anyone playing this? Okay, Mass Change 2. Dream and Mirror. I'm so scared. I'm so scared of who. Man, people are playing this in Dual Triangle because they want to play fusions, I guess. Like, yeah, this card's seeing virtually no play. So like, this does not need to stay on the semi-limited list. Nadir Servant. Okay, here's the thing. This should not be semi-limited for one reason. It's like, I think they hit. Yeah, again, they hit this to hit the decks that are playing this, which are like Stun and Labyrinth, and I guess Branded Despia, even though most branded lists, I believe, are already dropping Nadir Servant. Yeah, so let's see, Branded Despia. Only 69% of Branded Despia lists don't even play Nadir Servant, because this is mainly it helps play through Ash going first, and it sets up a puppet lock, but most Branded Despia lists on Master don't even play the puppet lock, and even when they do, they don't tend not to play Nadir Servant because it's just not good going second for Branded. And like, if you want to hit Stun, right, this is another one of those hits where there's like, hit the cards that people are complaining about in those decks. Don't hit the Nadir Servant. People aren't complaining about Stun activating Nadir Servant and going +1 on it. They're like complaining about getting a Fossil Dyna drop on them with like a bunch of Floodgates back behind them, like, you know, Necro Valley and stuff like that. And same with Labyrinth. I don't think people are upset when Labyrinth plays Nadir Servant. Like, that is not. That is the least of people's issues with Labyrinth. So, yeah, this. Did anyone have a problem with Nadir Servant when it was at 3? Like, really? Necrophase. So yeah, this is another decent good semi-limit. This, even though it's not really relevant right now, but oh man, but when Shizu Millers were legal and Chaos Order was legal, you were getting decked out by this non-stop left and right. You still can technically deck people out with this, but it's so much harder to do right now, and especially without Chaos Order, that yeah, I am an Infernal Tempest enjoyer, so I'm kind of sad that putting Necrophase at 2 kind of kills that strategy. But again, that's not really an interactive strategy in the first place. To be fair, that's just a turbo deck out mission deck release, which I already completed it before this got semi-limited, so I'm fine. I personally don't care about this going to 2. But yeah, whenever this is at 3, the only decks where this being at 3 instead of being at 2 matters are the decks that are just degenerate and trying to mill the opponent out. So yeah, this is fine. This is a good semi-limit. Pearly. So this is actually believe it or not, this is actually a really good semi-limit. It's not just a consistency hit, because White Cat Pearly is not a hard once per turn. So in fact, when this is at 3 copies, you can actually just summon all 3 copies in one turn and get a potential add off all 3 of them. So putting this to 2 caps the amount of cards you can add off Pearly to at most 2 a turn. So that's actually a pretty relevant hit, I guess. It also randomly hurts the Ghost Trick version of the Pearly deck a lot more because you have less level 1 bodies and less things to summon. Like the Ghost Trick body Ghost Trick engine requires you to get 2 level 2s on board just to get the Ghost Trick engine going, and then you have to like summon another cat in order to, you know, do your Pearly stuff. So putting this at 2 limits how many bodies you can really get on with that you can really summon to the field and actually get value off of, you're gonna end up summoning just a black cat that already uses the effect a lot of the time. So yeah, I would say this is finally a good hit that's not just like a random like degenerate card like Necroface or DD Dynamite, or a deck or a card that was using the degenerate strategy like those two. Raigeki should be up. Yeah, Dark Hole is at 3, nobody really cares. Lightning Storm is at 3, nobody really cares. Nobody cares. No, people aren't even really running Raigeki, even in the decks that play Thrust. This should definitely. I think this is at 3 in TCG too. This could definitely just go to 3 at any time. Red Reboot. Okay, so Red Reboot is a little. I'm like confused on this because theoretically this is like a super toxic card, but also we're in a best of 1. So because of that, do you really want to play Red Reboot in a best of 1 when against a majority of the field it's gonna be like a terrible card, right? So in the sense, I guess it's okay to be semi-limited. If it was at 3, it would make the community run tournaments that are best of 3 extremely toxic, because then you would just side in triple Red Reboot against any back row deck, and it'd be like, why would I ever play a back row in a community tournament? But I guess that's not really to do with that's not really the format we're talking about. We're talking about the mainly Master Duel ladder best of 1 format, where I think Red Reboot is okay to be at 2 copies. You could even argue it could be at 3 copies, just because if you weren't running at 2 copies, right, like people aren't right now, you wouldn't run it at 3 copies. But that might be a little OD. I don't know. Adventure, and okay, so Rite of Armistier and Water Enchantress. Come on. OCG is so scared of these cards. I think at one point, Griffin Rider was banned, and these were still semi-limited on the OCG panelists at one point. Like, it's time to move on. These cards were problematic like 1.5 to 2 years ago. Okay, now if your opponent activates Rite of Armistier, you're happy because you know they're not playing they're probably not playing the Snake Eyes, they're not playing a tier 1 deck, they're playing at most like a tier 3 or a tier 2 or a rogue deck when they activate this card. So that just tells you about like the power level of the game. These are completely fine. TCG has these at 3, hardly anyone even plays these. Sharon. Okay, so I feel like Konami doesn't know what to do with tier names in Master Duel, because every single tier name is at like a different number. Merly is banned, Havness is at 1, Sharon is at 2, and Rhino Heart is at 3. Because all of this is because Kit being legal just throws everything off. Because these tier names are all limited in TCG and OCG, but here this is the one we get to keep at 2. So I'm not quite sure they know what they're doing. I feel like this could have easily gone to 1 at any point, and people wouldn't have batted an eye. But yeah, maybe going to 3 Sharon would have been too much. Honestly, it's probably still is because Kit is legal. So I mean, I'll say it's an okay semi-limit. It's like a consistent hit. It's like a double consistency hit, right? One is the consistency of drawing it, but the second one is the consistency of milling Sharon. Although I'm putting it back here because you could also argue that Sharon should just be at 1 because Kit Kalos is still legal, and clearly, Tier is still a good deck in Master Duel, and yeah, I don't know. It's weird that every tier name just happens to be at a different number. So yeah, I don't know why Havness went to 1 so quickly too, and their tier cache was pre-hit to 1. But apparently Sharon is okay to stay at 2. So yeah, maybe they just don't like you playing tier 0 plays with tier on your opponent's turn, which I understand, but then you let them keep the best extender. Second Slight, this should not be. Nobody cares, but is anyone playing Second Slight right now? Whoops, that is the wrong second. Okay, Second Slight. Hardly anyone is playing Second Slight right now. Seka's Lights. What the fuck is this? Hold up. Am I reading the Seka's Lights? What the hell is this? Who? What? What are you cooking, bro? This is oh Mila. This is a Mila deck. Okay, I understand now. I understand completely. Okay. And for anyone else, what the fuck is Seka's Light Sky Strike? Okay, yeah. So when Seka's Light Sky Striker shows up as the most used way of playing Seka's Light, you know the card's not seen very much. Like Danger, right? It's showing this at 3 copies. You know why? Because the last time Danger played Seka's Light was when Seka's Light was at 3. That's how long ago it's been since people played this card. This card is perfectly fine. This card can go to 3 at any moment. I don't even think the decks that you could play Seka's Light in would play Seka's Light. You know, especially Super Heavy Samurai. Dimension Shifter. In my personal opinion, I don't think this should be 7. I think this should go down harder, in my personal opinion. At the same time, I'm being as charitable as I can with the semi-limited list on Master Duel. Okay. The only reason I'm putting this here is because 2 shifter is better than 3. 2 shifter means you get shifted a third of the less amount of time than you do if it was at 3. That's the only reason I'm putting it as it's okay. It's not a useless semi-limit. It does something. Okay. Same with this. This is like with the wagon. Like, I mean, this is classic. Super Heavy Samurai was extremely good in a Duelist Cup, but we don't want to kill the deck, so we're gonna put wagon from 3 to 2. Does it do something? Yes. Does it do a whole lot? Not really, to be honest. Snake Eyes actually do. Yeah, this is like the Snake Eyes hits are the same way. It's like we want to hit Snake Eyes, but we also don't want it to not be the best deck. And Snake Eyes is still the best deck in it. Don't kid yourselves. Going from losing 2 starters after it gained 3 stars in Bonfire, it's not really. All it does is gonna make a bunch of games much more frustrating because you're just gonna brick more often. But well, not more often. You're gonna brick like 1 in every 20 games now, but you know, fine. It's better than no Snake Eyes hits. Sprite, blue. Okay, so I'm from the opinion that Sprite isn't an issue anymore. So I feel like I would be of the opinion of putting them here, but I mean, I guess Elf is still legal and Sprint is still legal, but Beaver is Nimble Beaver is still limited, and Swap Frog is limited. Do these need to be here? Same with Jet. Jet is at 1. Do we need these Sprite limitations anymore? It's not like Sprite is really a problematic deck anymore. Like all of these semi-limits here, all of these cards are in decks that are top tier and have done very well in like high tournaments or Duelist Cups. Like Tier is still a good deck. Super Heavy Samurai was a very good deck for a long time. Snake Eyes is the best deck. Brand Espio is a good deck. Labyrinth is a good deck. Dragon Link, before it was neutered, was arguably the best deck, and Unicorn was playing everything. And meanwhile, Sprite is like been like rogue tier 3 for months now. So yeah, I feel like these could come back to maybe if you put Jet, Blue, and Starter all back to 3, that might be. At the same time, what are you really afraid of, right? It's like, is that gonna be that deck even gonna be better than like a deck like Pearly, for example? I don't know. Maybe this is the ones that the Sprite cards are the ones I'm least sure about whether they could actually be taken off the semi-limited list or not. I mean, you know, if they ban Elf, then definitely. But I don't see them banning Elf anytime soon. So because Elf is legal, it's kind of making this a bit less clear. And Trishula. Okay. I don't think Trishula should be semi-limited. I know why they put it at 2 is because they're afraid of Trishula looping you and hand looping you for 6 cards. And I'm gonna be real with you. If Trishula hand looping you is like one of the least toxic things that synchro decks can do. First of all, synchro decks can already handle you for 3+ cards already with Omega Dissipator and all that stuff, which is way better than Trishula. Let's look at the playability of Trishula first. Okay, so Trishula at 2. Not a single deck that plays Trishula runs it at more than 1 copy. Okay, the decks that most run Trishula are like what, Synchrons and Gold Pride and Fish and like the runic variants like or Adamantipator or Six Samurai. Six Samurai is the only deck that runs Trishula at 2 because it can infinite. It can like AoE of the 6 infinite, dude. But guess what? If Trishula was at 3, I mean, if Trishula didn't exist, they would still FDK you with a different method. So Trishula is not the reason that Six Samurai FDKs you. And other than that, no other deck even fucking like uses Trishula as a hand loop engine because there's just better ways to. There's just better, more efficient ways to handle your opponent if you're playing a synchro deck at all. So like, really, this should not like free my boy Trishula TTV off the semi-limited list. So, in conclusion, okay, so here's what we came up with. This was just my opinion. Let me know if you agree or disagree with where I placed my pins on these cards. But we've had 4 cards that are legitimately good semi-limited limited, and are good reasons for why the semi-limited list exists. And then we have like a bunch of consistency hits, and here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 20, 22. 22 of the 44 of the 22 of the 40 cards that are semi-limited on Master Duel, you could take off the semi-limited list or immediately, and but just declutter the semi-limited list. Just take these off of the semi-limited list. For anti-spell, put this. You take this off and put it into the limited section. But for everything else, you just put these cards that are at 2, put them at 3, declutter the list, and you'll be fine. Okay, that's all I'm asking. Even with the monthly ban list on Master Duel, you don't need this many semi-limited cards. Most of these cards are like old cards too that are hit from formats several months back, and they definitely don't need to be semi-limited anymore.